the show was already scheduled. Everything was already set to go. I don't know how I'm rushing you. The show was.
You rushing me, bro.
You were rushing you. You're the one that scheduled.
You don't rush a boo boo, man. You don't rush boo boos. Okay.
That's
Yeah,
true.
and I was smoking. I don't know what you're talking about.
If you rush boo boos, that's how you get hemorrhoids.
Yeah, especially at our age.
Yeah,
I don't know y'all age. Y'all older than me, man. Y'all older.
Man. You know good and hell well it's nothing but red.
That's weird. I'm 25. That's weird.
With it. That's why I'm mad with it. With it. With it. That's why I'm mad with it. Straight out the trap with it. Whatever you want, whatever you need, it's on tab. Get it. That's why I'm mad with it. That's why I'm mad with it. That's where I'm at. Okay, you chasing clout? Oh no way, your shit turn.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's time to Get in Trouble podcast. Your boy Eddie Liles for another episode. Terrance G is in the building. And then we got Mr. Chris Allen himself in the building. I appreciate it, sir. I really do. No, I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, this is the thing, Chris. I don't think me and you never get to run into each other a lot. I think we run into we run into each other on like whims. Like, it's very weird.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, man. It's just like I think with me living in Virginia, I just kind of like when I got into DC, I kind of got caught up in a certain like circuit of shows, and that for years I didn't even know like other stuff existed. And then it's like, oh, you got these people over here. I'm like, oh shit! But I had been so comfortable where like I just kind of got stuck in my own little world of comedy. And then reaching out, I got to meet you and like Rob Gordon and all the other producers and stuff. Yeah.
Like, it's easy to get lost in that scene too.
Yeah, it is,
especially back then.
Yeah. We was just talking to Eddie Morrison. He was on the earlier podcast, and that was one of the things that like Terrance and Eddie had never met like before. Because Terrance is in Omaha now, but Terrance is started doing comedy in the DC scene.
Okay,
you get what I'm saying? But it's like that was one of the things we was talking about. Is like there was so many fucking rooms. There was so many different shows that you can go to that you could literally go years without ever seeing another comic in that scene.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Man, like you say y'all talk about anything. So I don't think I'm better than anybody, but you just know like when been doing comedy for a while, it's just certain rooms you don't do anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I'm not gonna say what it was, but I went to a very low level mic in Virginia, and I was just like, man, I forgot like this is what it was like when you first start.
Yeah,
you know, like those. I'm talking about those low entry level mics. I'm like, man, and then like you ever do that? You go to a show like that and you ask yourself like,
why am I here?
Why am I here?
Why am I here?
Could you imagine starting over again? Could you imagine that?
No, like I tell people this all the time. And me and Daryl Charles, Daryl Charles is a comic out of Baltimore. He does a lot of his shit up in PA, so he works more PA. But like already has a comedy album out, everything, right? But he lives in Baltimore, so it's like he has to go to certain rooms. And every blue moon will just sit in the back and be like, "Why the fuck are we even here, bro?" Like it's like I could have literally just went to a comedy club. Like I didn't have to. I for all of this. I could have went to a comedy club and had a way better time, at least seeing, you know what I'm saying? Like, but at the end of the day, it's like the more you get up, those rooms still help.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? They still help.
They do.
It's just hard to go. It's like how can I be creative when I got all of these motherfuckers just saying shit that will never fly anywhere but this room?
I know. I heard some stuff. I was like, damn, that was.
Yeah, it's basically like the dark web equivalent of open mics, right?
It's like, the dark web. That's what it's like. It's like the really dark web.
It's basically like, oh, people still say that shit out loud.
Yeah.
Oh, that's because nobody's here to really give a shit.
And I'm not like a censorship type comic, but it's just like I'm cool with all types of jokes, but you get used to hearing them at a certain level. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A level of expertise.
Mm-hmm.
But when you hit those like those super, super low level mics, you're like, damn, man, this is wild.
Yeah.
I think people take that shit like, oh, you trying to be offensive? Oh, you trying to shit on us? It's like, no, dude, no. I'm not. Like, I'm really not. This is what I'm going to explain to you what it is, right? When you hear when you hear somebody do a very creative joke, in your head, you're just like, "Oh, I like how you just twisted that." And then you think about your own jokes, you're like, "Oh, I could have twisted shit."
Right.
Like it helps get your creatives going. But when you just keep hearing people do bullshit, you just like, no, like you niggas, y'all not even taking this shit serious.
Yeah, it's just like I like pancakes, right? You like pancakes. It's like, would you rather have like some shitty pancakes,
right,
or like some gourmet shit?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's really the same. That's all it is. It's like these motherfuckers just learning how to cook. That's all it is. You just learning how to cook. And I'm not. And the thing is, a lot of shit, it is funny, but in my mind, I'm like, man, that would not do well in the club or like the shows I'm doing now. That would not fly. And it's just funny to hear it.
Well, even not even just the clubs, but even just kind of that shifting climate of comedy, right?
Right.
There's that too.
Very true.
I mean, I don't want to sit there and necessarily say shifting, but that's kind of what we say because let's be honest, we're not in like no Lenny Bruce shit. We're not getting put in jail for jokes yet. But it's still, you've got to watch certain lines and not say certain shit. And it's so when you hear these cats say it and it's just so unrefined and raw, you can't help but be like, ooh.
I know. It's just like, damn. But you know what I think what's the tricky part about that is when you have a guy like Patrice O'Neal, who we call raw, unfiltered, and a young comic hears that and go, "Oh, I'm gonna be raw and unfiltered." But it's just like, man, you don't even understand the level of Jedi-ness that went into this. It's just like he might say some wild shit, but there's gonna be a point where he's gonna make it super, super funny, and it's going to make sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? But a lot
you just left it out there for no reason.
Yeah, right. You just said it because it was wild. He's gonna say it's wild, but it's gonna be very nuanced and punchy at the end. Yeah.
I remember like I was trying to explain this to people, and I was like especially like newer comics, and I'm like, one, because they're like, oh, yo, you got so much information. I'm like, I really don't. I'm telling you the same shit that OGs told me. Right. You get what I'm saying? And this is the shit that worked for me and what it did. When I come to y'all room, I might do my outlandish jokes that I don't use everywhere, right? But I would not use until that joke gets to a certain level, I would never do it at a club. You get what I'm saying? You guys are doing this shit to do at clubs, and then you're asking why. Like, I run a charity show, right? Like the show is for charity. You just see the pictures and you're like, oh, this shit is dope. Like, no, nigga, this shit is for charity. So I can't do certain shit there. You know what I'm saying? I can't say certain shit there. So if you want to keep talking about your anus and oh God, I hate these, you know what I'm saying? These certain group of people or what's the name? These white girls will light your ass the fuck up. And I've seen it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like somebody, I've accidentally gone down the wrong path in a joke and said bitch too many times. You get what I'm saying? Like, because you just feeling it, you feeling it, and then you let go of that second bitch, and you're like, whoa, they just pulled out. Why did?
But see, if you're in a black room, that's cool. But you do that with a white young liberal room, they take that word very seriously.
Yeah.
But in a black room, it's just a word.
It's just part of it.
Yeah.
As long as it's funny, the motherfuckers is laughing.
Right.
They're not thinking about the words you saying. Is that funny? Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? Like
they're not looking to take offense.
Exactly. They're not looking to take offense as much. But when you go in certain rooms and you got a shit ton of white girls in front of you, and you think that these motherfuckers are not picking up every word you saying, you out of your fucking mind, bro.
Out of your mind. They hanging on, and they waiting for you to say a trigger word.
Yeah.
In some cases, they waiting.
Facts, bro.
Yeah.
But like I always say, like, yo, I want to get go ahead and cancel me. I'm nobody. You cancel me, you're gonna make me more famous. Like, just being real.
That's true. I mean, look at Shane Gillis. He probably would have done well on SNL, but he's doing his special got over 1 million views in I think a week maybe.
Yeah, and that shit is fire.
Yeah, it's dope. What up, Glenn?
Like, so it's like you gotta. This Terrance always says like this, and we'll actually, I guess we'll direct the question to you in a second. But Terrance is always like, you got to be politically correct, and like I don't like that you have to be politically. And I always say you don't have to be politically correct. You just got to take what comes with not being. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to take. If you want to cross the line, that's fine. You just got to be able. Don't come back and bitch that people are upset about it.
You also don't want to kill your career before you have one either. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but
Shane Gillis was had the fortune to be budding beforehand. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's unfortunate that you get people in a position that don't look at a mic like that as a position to grow, as a place where people are, like Chris said, they're just learning how to cook. And yeah, their pancakes are shitty now, but maybe they'll be gourmet in another year. But we got a lot of comics, right, that don't think that they're going to give that leeway to allow these guys to learn how to fuck up the recipe a few times. And so that's what I'm saying when I say you've got to be politically correct, because I'm not saying that that's the end all be all, but you can't just go in there guns blazing trying to figure everything out all at once either. You got to have some tact with it too. And that's a hard fucking line to ride sometimes, to be smart enough to ride that line, but funny enough as well to bring in the funny.
Right. I agree.
So what is your thoughts on it? Yeah.
It's weird. You know what? Because I'm retired military, so I take a lot of things back
Appreciate
to how
your service.
Oh, thanks, man. So I liken it to the military. When you're a young airman or private, whatever branch you're in, when you're the low guy in the totem pole, you have the least amount of leeway to play with. You have to be on point. You have to be very respectful. You can't speak your mind. You know what I mean? If you do, they go, oh, Airman so-and-so is a mouthy. He's very mouthy. We don't want to hear that from him. We just want to hear yes. It's the same thing with comedy, because I used to tell a lot of younger dudes too, like guys who were trying to get just to the MC level. They're like, man, I want to be like Stanhope. I want to do Jesselnick stuff. I'm like, yo, you can't do that from an MC spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah. You can't come out and open a show talking about cancer and cutting a woman's tits off, and a baby died in a car accident because of a drunk driver. It's just like, yo, you got to think about, you're trying to set the room up for comedy, for people to laugh. And you got to think too, like, you know how many shows Jesselnick probably got kicked off of or got fired from weekends because he was trying to do that shit from the spot he wasn't able to do it from yet. And like you were saying, like, you got to come out, you got to learn to crawl before you walk, man. Learn how to write a regular joke. Then if you want to get into more stuff, of weird stuff about cancer and cutting people's titties off and all that weird shit, you know what I'm saying? Learn how to write a good joke.
I like that it's cutting the titties off. I kind of want to.
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of some weird shit, because I mean, I've heard people.
I've heard a lot of different shit, bro.
But you know,
I've heard a lot of different shit.
Really go for the dark stuff, and it might be funny, but it's just like, yo, for the where you are right now, that's not gonna work. If you're trying to work at a club, that's not gonna work, and people feel so like stifled and stuff. I'm like, yo, but as you climb up, you get more leeway. You can say more. You can do more stuff. Same with
establishing rapport is a beautiful thing.
In the military, like once you become higher rank and you like say you are E9 and you like, this process sucks, I think this is stupid, they go, damn, Chief is a go-getter, Chief is a truth teller. But as an airman, if you do the same thing, it's like you're just causing trouble. Same thing with comedy. It's just like, hey, some of that stuff, man, just at your level, you don't even need to go there right now. Leave that to somebody else, because like you said, Terrance, are you really gonna do? You're hurting yourself at a local level. And it's not, is it worth it? You know?
Yeah. And I'm so proud. I got a fellow Air Force veteran here.
Yeah.
Shout out to Air Force. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Terrance is a vet as well.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
So like the thing, like that. This I try to explain this to guys sometimes, because they're like, yo, you do certain shit. Like they'll like point at me and they'll be like, you say certain shit. And I'm like, all right, bro. I'm 9 years ahead of you. That's one. I also, fortunately, I was good at promoting. Like, so I run my own shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of hard to, you know what I'm saying, push me off. But I also know when I go to clubs what I can and cannot say.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And like, and I was like, and make sure you understand this shit. It has hurt me more than it has helped me. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I've had it happen too.
I've been that guy. I've been the guy. Like I do the homeless joke. I do the, you know what I'm saying? I do the you know what I'm saying? The little stupid dumb jokes that's over the top, right? I have those in my repertoire. When somebody the most bookings you're gonna get is from another comic. That's the best way to put it. And if another comic only sees you doing that shit, then they're not gonna put your name up. You see what I'm saying? Like,
right.
because people don't understand. A lot of people don't get that. Like, when you the first 3-4 years, it's a lot of people who are going to be working at the club and not doing comedy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of club owners who used to be comics. There's a lot of doormen who started off as comics. They started doing doorman and it didn't work out for them. There's a lot of fucking people that started in comedy that aren't there anymore. And you don't know where that person's going to end up. So you, in the first 2-3 years, you think, oh, okay, I'm just doing this joke about homeless people taking it in the butt and I'm going to be able to get away with that shit. But then this dude becomes the booker at the Improv in your city, and that's the only thing he knows you as. You get what I'm saying? Like that that shit happens.
I see it. I've seen it too. Yeah,
a lot. So it's like, don't try to use my shit. I'm giving you advice because I've lived it.
True. It's so true. Especially in the clubs, because just like us, people in those clubs, they work their way up. Like I did a lot of my initial club work in Dayton at the Dayton Funny Bone. And I came up with a lot of those people on the Funny Bone side where they, like, when I first started going there, they were bartenders. They were just servers. And next thing you know, they're managing, the box office. Then now they're assistant manager. Now they're doing this. Now they're booking the Clash of the Comics. Now, boom. Now I have a friend who's a GM. But if I was a dick to her coming up, I would have been done. You know what I mean?
I think that's the hard part for me is what I try to. Somebody called me, a veteran called me the other day, and I think he showed a podcast, and he was like, "Why do you keep trying to explain this shit to people?" Right? And I was like, "Dude, like sometimes I think people don't get it, and it's not that I'm trying to explain it to the sense of like, hey, I'm right, you're wrong. Like it's not one of them. I'm just like, this is my experience with it. Now, whatever the fuck you decide to do." This is the fuck you decide to do, buddy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we've had Capone on here talking about he knocked the person out because he stole a joke. That worked out for Capone. That don't mean that's going to work out for you, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't get that shit. They think, whatever they hear, that shit works. And I'm like, nah.
You got to do what works for you. Yeah, dude. You know what, man? I've had bad experiences calling people out for jokes I thought were stolen to the point where, like, I don't even do it, man.
There's no point anymore.
There's no point, man. I don't do it, man. I don't call people out for jokes at all. And
change the joke. Because that's the big thing right now, right? We got the Joe Hill situation with David Arnold. Do you know about this situation?
Nah.
All right. So David Arnold is a comic who just
I know who he is. Yeah, LA dude, light skinned.
LA dude.
He had the side chicks joke a while back.
And so his special just dropped, right? Well, not just dropped. I apologize. His special dropped during the pandemic, like 2018, right before the pandemic. It blows up during the pandemic. Joe Hill is a comic out of New York. Joe Hill, basically, consciously, subconscious, whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? His joke is identical to David Arnold's. All right. So David Arnold goes online and it's just basically like, hey man, I know like sometimes young comics, y'all don't think about shit and y'all like might use people's shit unknowingly. But these are my jokes. And then he just for 4 minutes puts up his video of him doing the joke on his special, and then Joe Hill doing the joke later. Oof. And it was just like, hey man, and he was like, y'all might be thinking, oh, Dave, this guy might not even know you. It might be cross thinking or something like that, or parallel thinking or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And he puts up a DM from Joe Hill like, yo, I love you. You're up there with fucking Dave and Louis C.K. Like I literally respect you. I was like, oh, you sunk your that like, yo, you played sunk your battleship, nigga. You was out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like David Arnold like really handled this situation kind of like chill. Godfrey comes and is like, fuck that, man. Yeah. Like you stole my man's jokes. Fuck these corny ass. And I was like, God damn. Like, Godfrey lit it up. And I was just like, sometimes like I was telling somebody this the other day. It's a guy in New York who came down, was doing something at a festival, I know he heard my joke. I go to New York a couple years later. I do the joke. Everybody thinks, a lot of people in New York who don't know who I am think I stole this dude's joke. And I was like, huh? Like, do you see the joke? Chris, I'll tell you the joke offline, but if you hear the joke, you will see that the joke fits me perfectly well. If I show you the person, you'd be like, nah.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? One of them
sucks, man.
It was just like, but it's no, like, people was like, you gonna say, what the fuck is the point? Change the joke. Yeah. Eddie Bryant told me that a long time ago, dog. We comics, we write for a living. You got two choices. Like, if y'all see each other on the street one day, you maybe bring it up. But inside the comedy world, man, leave that. Just change the joke, bro. It's not all the way worth it.
Yeah, a lot of times, if I hear something that's even too close to mine, I'll just drop it.
Right.
You know, I'll just drop it. It's not the end of the world for me. I mean, yeah, I've had jokes where I'm like, I do not want to lose that joke, but you just gotta drop it. And the thing is, you forget about it. This is like, exactly. and you move on. You know. Man. But yeah, man, that's stealing joke stuff, man. And here's another reason why I don't do it is because I don't know why everybody gets on stage. Because there are some people who I've seen people get up on stage and they've done Chris Rock's jokes. Like I was in Vegas when I started and I saw this African dude. He was just like, I just want to go up and do some Chris Rock jokes. Like for some people, it's really like a bucket list thing where they just want to do like a karaoke comedy thing. And we get so mad. And I'm like, yo, why are you mad at this person? They're not coming back. They just wanted to do it one time. They love comedy so much.
They wanted to see what it felt like.
They wanted to see what it felt like. And guess what? There's nothing wrong with that. Now, if they're trying to get booked and saying they wrote that stuff, that's completely different. Because I was out of town and somebody came to my mic and I guess he was doing like Brian Regan or somebody else's jokes. And I had like 4 or 5 people like, there's this dude doing these jokes. I was just like, I don't care. I don't care.
He'll never be back.
And guess what? They haven't come back. It's been 3 weeks. And they're losing their minds. It's just like, who cares, man? That person wanted to get on stage one time and just do it. Public speaking is the number one fear for most people, if not everybody.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that I do appreciate about me personally aging as I've doing comedy. You know, I'm in 8 years now, working on my 9th. And it's like, I don't care as much about the stupid shit like that. Like, I think as a young comic first starting out, I probably would have been like, oh, man, that's disrespectful to the art. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? And now I'm just like, I don't give a shit. I'm on my path doing my thing, trying to better myself.
Right.
Chris, are you rolling? Hold on 1 second. Off topic. No, are you
vape.
Rolling a blunt and using a vape? I didn't know you was a pothead. I didn't know this at all.
I never smoked marijuana, sir. I'm a CBD guy.
Oh, you found your loophole? Get the fuck out!
I'm a CBD man. Nah, man, I love weed, man.
Yo, do you know that I thought when I first like this is not at all taking a shot. I thought you were like a Christian comic. I swear to God, I did though. For the longest time, because I think like
what was it?
Because I think you used to come. Didn't you wear glasses?
Yeah.
You almost said that was an insult. Like I thought.
No. Because Chris used to come to Mike. Like every time I would see him at a mic or something like that, he was kind of like you and Tommy Taylor and Rob Gordon would basically be in the running for best dress. And then, but it was like
Tommy Taylor he the Steve Harvey of DC.
Bro, this
Tommy be dressed
goes
up.
in. Dress. Bro.
I've never seen Tommy Taylor without a haircut ever. That dude, he looked like he fresh out the chair every day.
Oh, that's that Beijing, bro. That's that Beijing, bro. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. I love Tommy, but that's that Beijing, bro. We're not gonna do this here.
He's a Beijing boy.
Bro, that boy, listen. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I put up a picture of me in high school, and I legit I used to fuck my hairline up all the time. Because I literally, bro, every 3 days, bro, I would, what? And get that joint, and that joint, every blue moon, it would go all the way back. I cut it all the way off and let it restart. You know what I'm saying? Oh, dog, nah. So for your hairline not to move backwards, but always be sharp, Oh yeah, that's Beijing, baby. You ain't got to tell me nothing, bro.
I've been lucky to be 41, man. I still got mine, man.
For real?
I'm lucky,
I don't.
man.
Look, I didn't even cut my hair since the festival, and I'm gone, bro. Like
it might have receded back a little bit, but baby, I still got you.
Yeah, Terrance, you look like you do sneaker reviews and shit. You look like a Homer Simpson brother and shit.
I do love the fact that my shit went like because this what used to happen, right? I used to have the Nike symbol in my head. All right, like because it was down here and then it would just swoop.
Oh, you had one of those joints?
Yeah. And so now it just faded across the top, and I'm just like, all right, cool, I'm good.
Okay, let me ask you this: when did you start cutting it off? Were you doing the low cut Caesar so you could see it for a while?
So I got my hair to a little bit shorter than yours is now when I was a kid, and then my grandma told me, and my like with your plaits.
Oh, for real?
My grandma was like, can you cut the grandma of the church was like, can you cut that off? Because I was playing football too. And so I cut it all off. And then when I cut it off, I tried to grow it again. When I tried to grow it at like 24, like I want to say like 24, 25, it stopped. Like my hair grows all the way out. I had a mushroom. So it grew, all of this grew. I could plait the sides, but the top was just flat.
Oh,
it was weird. It just wouldn't grow anymore. You get what I'm saying? So
that's what I'm afraid of, man. I'm like, man, should I do this to my hair? Because what if it won't grow back when I'm done?
You said what?
I'm afraid it might not grow back.
Facts, bro. Like, yeah, that's the scary part. I am too.
Mac asked did anyone see Joe Hill's response? I don't know much of anything.
No. So Joe, he had. So I didn't address it. Mac, you know, Mac's my boy.
That's my dude too.
I didn't address that part because Joe put out like several responses, and none of them was like, "Yeah, I fucked up." None of them, or just being like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I've been wrote these jokes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wrote these jokes. I did see him do them, but you know what I'm saying? Like, he's one of my favorite comics, and I was just like, oh, we on the same wavelength. That's what put me on to him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I had to stop doing the joke. Just apologize to keep doing the joke. That's all you gotta do. Get the fuck out of it. Get the fuck out of it. You know what I'm saying? Don't sit there. He like doubled down. Now he's on like several. Like we were supposed to have him on the podcast before this whole situation. I know Joe. Like he's a cool dude. Like he comes down to Baltimore sometimes. He's a really cool dude. I just think you can't get out of this one. This is one of the ones where it's like, oh, you just shut the fuck up and let it die. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain situations where sometimes you just let it. If you let it die, it won't get big enough for you to, you know what I'm saying, have to even ever really address it. But when you address it too early, you just made it bigger.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Looking back, I remember I was doing a hacky bit for a while, and I was just like, why am I doing this? It was a bit where I'm pretty sure you heard it before, where people go like, I got a kitchen pass, and then my wife said I could fuck like Holly Berry, this person, and then she told me her pass, and she wanted to fuck my barber, and I got caught up doing that because somebody's like, hey man, that's kind of been done. I was just like, yeah, I don't care, and I did it for like 6 months, and then I was just like, why the fuck would I continue to do this knowing that it's not it's not an original bit? And I would say I was probably about 3 or 4 years in, man. I had to tell myself like, don't get even caught up in that in the practice of remixing jokes.
Right. Yeah. No, so in my story, I had so I played football. I used to do a joke about I hate when people ask me, do I play football? Blah blah blah. But like when I did play football, it was we always would try to figure out who was the gay guy. So we would say, would you suck? We would be like, yo, would you suck a dick for $1 million? Mm-hmm. And then like somebody was like, so I do this. I kept doing that joke for like, I think I want to say like 2 years. Nobody said shit to me. So I mean, when I say I was heated about this shit, I was heated about it when I figured it out. Because nobody said like, no, I was probably doing that joke for like 3-4 years actually, right? Nobody said shit to me. I'm just like, oh, I got this good premise. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got this good premise on the joke. I made a crucial punchline on this joke. Oh man, I'm working it. Nobody says anything. I go to Magooby's to support a fellow comic for the Magooby's competition of the year. a guy on stage does it, right? Guy on stage does, would you suck a dick for $1 million? Like, blah, 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 blah. And so when he comes off stage, I was like, hey, man, what did you hear that joke at? Like, what made you decide to do that joke? He was like, oh, man, me and my friends used to always say that shit on the street. I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, me and the boys in the football locker room used to do that shit too. Like, what's that? And Ryan, I'll never forget, Ryan Nazer and Rob Mayer walk over to me and were like, are you guys really arguing about that joke? I was like, nah, we were just talking about it. He's like, dude, that joke's been done 85 fucking times over the last 85 fucking years. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are you, like, they're hack jokes. Like, why are y'all even discussing it? And I was like, what are you talking? I was like, that ain't a hack joke. What are you talking? And it was like, that was the lesson I learned of like, dog, help your fellow comics out. Yeah. Sometimes people don't know that shit be hack. You know what I'm saying? Or it's the wrong thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. People, you ever have like people try to give you stuff or like, it's just like, because so many people steal like meme comedy. I'm like, I don't know where you got that. That's actually too funny. So that makes me believe that you didn't come up with it. Some random person and they go, oh, take that. I'm like, nah, I don't know. Oh, take it. I saw it on the meme. It's like, I can't take a meme.
Right. Oh, don't use this in your bit. Like, I won't, bro. I promise.
Yeah, trust me. Don't put this in your skit. It's like, trust me, this is very boring. No one wants to hear this.
Nobody wanted to hear that bullshit.
Nobody wants to hear
that shit. I was trying to explain this to my boy. My boy was like, bro, I'm just trying to help you. I told you I got all these good bits and I should be a writer. And I'm like, bro, listen, I'm not trying to be an asshole when I say I'll try my best. You get what I'm saying? Like, because I kept saying I was like, yo, I'll think about it, man. I might put that in. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, you always say that shit. You ain't putting this shit in your joint. I know you. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you. All my jokes relate to me now. You get what I'm saying? Like, I legit switched almost full over to storytelling. Now I can swing out of it and I do the crowd work thing, but my jokes are a lot of storytelling jokes. You know what I'm saying? Or experience jokes. So that I don't really fall victim to infected thinking or parallel thinking or any of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like where I might hit somebody else's joke 2 years later, don't realize that I heard it in their joke and put it in my joke. You get what I'm saying? Like, which does happen. I've seen that a lot.
Yeah, I've been on the road with and I'm not trying to name drop, but I go on the road with Norman quite a bit, Mark Norman. And like every once in a while, I'll text him like, "Oh, I got this bit," and he'll go, that's kind of like mine. And then when he says that, I go, "Oh, damn, that is kind of like it. It's just yep." But it's just a little different mix, and I'm like, "Oh, that is way too close." And sometimes he's like, "Man, just go with it." I'm like, "No, it's too close for me." I feel like your joke kind of bursted in my mind, and I want to get rid of it. That's happened a few times too.
Yeah, that's the great part of, again, talking about jokes sometimes with somebody that you trust. That's the hard part. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like comics, I think a lot of people, as comics, we want to look for the good in people. Like that's just what we do, right? We just want to look for the good in people. And what winds up happening is not everybody has the same values as you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you say that joke, you get that joke or try to work this joke out with the wrong person, that motherfucker might take your shit.
Oh, I had that happen, man.
For real?
Years ago. I think he still does comedy, but I don't think I would ever use it. But me and my buddy were talking about race, and I compared it to like running on the track versus a marathon and shit. And he's like, damn, that's great, man. That's a great analogy. I'm like, yeah, man. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, I got to figure out how I'm going to use this on the bit. And then like that Sunday, I see him at the mic and he goes up, does his joke, and then does the whole track thing. I'm thinking like, we never discussed you using that. You just said you liked it. But
me and Brian Tinker do that to each other all day. Because literally it's like, when me and Brian Tinker get together, it's a writing session. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like people might not understand it because they're like, yo, y'all just keep going. Y'all just keep going. It's like, dog, it's a writing session for us, bro. Mm-hmm. Like we literally just kick jokes off each other. But because we talk in the conversational form on stage, it literally sounds like we're having a conversation, but we literally bouncing like we accidentally. You keep talking to a funny person, you just drop a joke.
You end up like, damn, that's good. Yeah.
Right. And we both had to wind up being like, yo, I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that. You know what I'm saying? Even if we don't use it, like it's just like I'm gonna use that just in case. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that one you got to do a little bit more.
Yeah, I like formal. I use that word loosely, but like formal writing sessions. That's never worked for me because like you get in those groups and it always turns into like you start talking about the local comedy scene. If there's any drama or specials you've seen, shit you've seen on YouTube, next thing you know, everybody's just on their phones and it's just devolved into a conversation. But I notice like whenever I'm around comics that I'm really close with or really respect, that's what happens. It just kind of turns into a conversation. And next thing you know, funny shit is just being said. And it's like, oh, can I use that? That's funny. Oh, you should try this. Yeah, but like to sit down and we all got our notebooks, it never works, man.
I've never seen those. I don't write like that. So like I think I think a lot of people don't think I write, but I'm like, motherfucker, I write. I don't write. I write what I want the joke to be about, and then I just go on to. This is why, like when we were talking about going to certain mics, it's like I had to explain that to somebody one day because they were talking about another comic, and they were like, "Yeah, I'm better than him," and I was like, "Bro, you've been doing it for 2 years. He's been doing it for 15.
That's that dangerous. That's that dangerous time. When you think
And I was like, "Bro, listen, you're good. You're really good. You might, if you keep developing, you're gonna be special, right? If you keep going down this cocky, you remember those guys when you first start, like, because I think you've been doing it way longer than me, not way longer, but I think you've been doing it longer than me. Yeah, I'm 10. Okay. So you remember those guys that like when you're in like your 2-year mark and they're funnier than everybody else in the 2-year mark.
Oh yeah.
But then when you get to the 5-year mark, everybody's bypassed them. Yeah, because they stopped working.
Yeah,
and I was trying to explain this to him. I'm like, listen, bro, you're a year and a half. I think he's like 2 years in, a year and a half in. I'm like, you are funnier than a regular person at 2 years, but you're not funnier than a regular person at 5 years, right? If you don't keep getting funny in like 3-4 years, all these motherfuckers that you keep talking about is some shit and they don't they gonna bypass you, bro.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you don't know who's gonna make it. Stop talking like that.
And that's at like that 2 to 5 year mark, that's where like that first initial separation begins.
Yes.
Well, like, okay, like you said, like that guy who's funny at 2 years, that's funnier than most of those guys. If you get lazy, you're gonna get stuck there. And a lot of guys they get kind of like enamored with that spot because you have all these like super new comics looking up to you like, oh, this person's so good, they're so good,
right? I
want to be like them. You kind of get caught up in that, like, oh, I don't need to work on this because all these new comics like me. But what happens is it's like you said, you start getting passed over for shit, and that's when you start to get real work. That's when your friends start getting passed at clubs. They start getting weekends. A few people might start going on the road, and you're like, damn, I'm only doing these bar shows. Why is everybody passing me? Because that is a very crucial point. And that's where that bitterness can really start, is if you don't work at the beginning and your friends start getting passed by either like better producers or God forbid it's a club, because that's when that bitterness really starts to sink in, man. And that's the first time it happens. You know what I mean?
I think I try to explain this to a lot of people. I'm like, listen, when Tony Woods, we bring up Tony Woods a lot on this show because one, DC vet, comedy legend, right? But you know what I mean? But a lot of people know who he is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I think these comics, they see Tony come to an open mic and he'll like, because they don't realize, like, even though Tony's been doing this shit for like 30 years at this point, right? Excuse me. Like, even though Tony's been doing like comedy for 30 years, he knows how to move wording around in his jokes. So sometimes you might hear a joke that you heard him do on stage and he'll do it at an open mic, but he's not doing it at the open mic just to get it, you know what I'm saying? Just to be like, oh, this joke's funny. He like changed a word somewhere in that joke.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so sometimes they'll like they'll be like, man, Tony, I don't think Tony that good. And I'm like, oh, you're tripping.
Yeah, you don't know.
You think people that
talking about?
Do you think people that I was like, and I explained this to him, I'm like, do you really think club headliners or what's like, do you really think that they came to your open mic to like kill it like they were at a club? No, they just came to work some shit on. They just came to work some shit out real quick. They had something on their head. They sandwiched it in between two good jokes just so that nobody could say they were some shit, right? But they really just wanted to see if this one joke wording came out correctly,
right?
Or if I want to move this joke, so it's like you're trying to compare somebody who features at a club, somebody who headlines a club, somebody that's a normal host to a club, to an open micer. You're tripping, fam. Don't do that. Don't do that. But I know it's hard to get past. It's human nature. You see somebody do bad, you see yourself do good. I'm automatically better than that person, and it's like not always, homie.
Yeah,
not always.
And it's not even, and sometimes, honestly, man, it's not even about somebody who's a killer from wire to wire. I have to tell a lot of young comics too, like people go, and I'm not saying anybody in DC, but I've experienced this a lot of my career where they go, why are they letting this guy feature? Why is this person doing this? It's just like, yo, they might not be funny, just gut busting funny for the 25 minutes, but guess what? They can do the 25 minutes.
Wow.
Can you do the 25 minutes? Well, it's just like, well, see, that's the thing. Yeah. And why is this person?
And everybody thinks they can. Everybody thinks they can do 25 minutes.
They think they can. They really think they can do it. It's just like, well, can you get up there and talk into a mic for 25 minutes, or is it gonna be funny the entire time?
Even remotely.
Yeah, even remotely. Like some of these guys I would see, like we were saying, when you're super young, you don't think they're the funniest, but they go up there, they get regular laughs, but they're not killing, and you go, oh, I can do that. Man, you get up there and you 10 minutes in, you go, shit, I got 15 more minutes. Next thing you know, you're bombing. Yo, have you ever heard the story Jamie Foxx tells about when he opened for Mark Curry?
No.
So he opened for him for years, and he said he was at the point to where he was like killing. And he asked like some club owners, like, yo, like, why am I not? I should be headlining. I'm funny. Some nights it's tough for Mark Curry. I should be headlining. I should be the one. I should be on the marquee. They go, you know what, Jamie? Cool. We're gonna give you a night. They gave him a night. He said like 12 people showed up. He goes, yo, what the fuck, man? He's like, I've been killing in these full rooms. They go, yeah, that's because they're there to see fucking Mark Curry.
Mark Curry.
It's like you might think that you're better than him, but he put asses in the seats, and he said that taught him a very important lesson.
No, I get like I people. It's the argument of draw versus funny, and I explained this to somebody. I was like, some of the funniest people don't have the biggest draw. Yeah, and they were like, no, that doesn't make sense. I'm like, okay, let me explain. Like, I don't know how else to explain this shit. Right? Sometimes people come to the club. Like, if you think, I think a lot of comics think that people come to the comedy club like once a month, and I'm like, dude, it's more like once a year.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when I do, like, and I'm telling you, like, I try to explain this to people as a showrunner and a promoter, right? I'm like, dude, if I have a room that holds 300, or like, say I have a room that holds 100, and I want to do it weekly, then I got to times that by 52, right? 52 weeks in a year, and then times that bitch by 10. So that means I literally need like 52,000 people to want to come to my show if I wanted to be sold out every fucking week. Like, do you understand? And that's a lot of fucking people, right? And it sounds like a crazy ass number, and people are like, man, you over exaggerated. I'm like, no, bro. We didn't say I wanted people in the room, because people in the room is 12 people, 10 people, 20 people. If you have 100-seater, you want 100 people in your room every week, you need around 52,000 people that are willing to come to your room. Now, they're not going to come every week. You see what I'm saying? So what happens is that you got a couple of, you might have like 40, 50 of them. That was their one time a year. Right. You get what I'm saying? You got another like 100, 200, 2,000 of them. They go out every 3 months, every 5-6 months. Right. Then you got another couple thousand. They go out once a month. Then you got, and then you rarely have motherfuckers who go out weekly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or go out like 36 times a week. 36 times a year. Like that's a rare occurrence. So it's like, dude, you need a shit ton of people.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. Now, to get that, right, you got to be marketable.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? Like you got to be marketable. Let's look at Instagram, right? We already learned the patterns. A lot of people have learned the patterns on Instagram and TikTok. The more colors you see, the more likely people pay attention. The brighter it is and clearer it is, the more likely people pay attention. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just the people that it gets in front of. Then once it gets in front of those people, you gotta hope they click it. Once they click it, the algorithm figures out, I need to show this to more people, right? It just took me a minute and a half to just explain the simple part of it. And you think that motherfuckers who come up with jokes all day give a fuck about what I just said?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that's so true, man.
The biggest draw, the funniest people are not always going to be the biggest draws.
They're not. It's
just, I'm sorry, fam. So just having a lot, like people will be like, oh, he got a lot of people. That doesn't mean he's funny, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he don't have any people. That doesn't mean he's not funny.
Right.
Like both can be true, both can be wrong. Like it's really like it's just what do you fall into? You know what I'm saying? Like so like I try my best. I'm like, don't compare yourself to thinking that you should be doing these big shows. Because when you think that you should be doing this big show and nobody's going to come to see you, you're literally like the promoter. Like, and I'll ask you this question. Do you think it's more the promoter to fill a room or the comedian?
I think, if it's your event, I think it's the onus is on you. It's your show, but the comic also has to do as much as they can, to promote the show.
So this is what I tell people, all right? And some comics have this mentality, some comics don't, right? It's if you want a sold out room, it's on the promoter to promote.
Yeah.
It's not on the promoter to put people in the seats. There's two different things. It's on the comic. If I'm promoting the comic, it's on the comic to get the butts in the seats. It's on the promoter to promote to the people that want to get the butts in the seat. You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. It's a relationship. It's got to be.
It's a relationship.
Yeah, it has to. You got to do. It has to go both ways.
Yes. I think some people. And I'm bringing this all back because of the Jamie Foxx situation. I think some people think like, oh, it wasn't nobody in the room. The promoter ain't do their job, and then you go talk to the promoter. He's like, dog, I just spent like $800 promoting this fucking show. Nobody wanted to see her.
Yeah, nobody
wanted to see this motherfucker. Yeah, nobody knew who the fuck this motherfucker was. Like, I knew they were funny, but nobody knew who they was. They didn't want me to put nobody else on the show. I just basically lost my hat. Man, you just canceled the show on me. I'm like, dude, this is business, fam, and business sucks. Yeah. Business ain't fun. Have you run into this shit?
You know what? Only a couple times. I try not to produce shows because I try not to, man, because I have a venue down here called the Southern, and I have people hit me up like, yo, man, I see you got this Southern, this room was packed out, and I get it, man. A lot of people see a packed room and they go, oh, I'll just climb on that. And I tell people, hey, man, unless you can put people on these seats, I can't help you, man. I was like, I can give you the guy's information who books this show, but he's going to ask, can you put people in the seats? And if not, he's not going to book you. And sometimes even I forget, I'll ask like, hey, can I headline the off night? And they go, you're not really a draw. And I go, oh shit, you know what? You're right. My bad. I shouldn't have asked. There's very few venues and shows that have a built-in audience where like no matter what, people are gonna be there. Like Umar's room that he used to run, Gin and Jokes, that shit's gonna be packed out. But the thing is, it's gonna be packed out because he has a reputation for having a great show and he promotes it well. And it took him a few years to get it to the point where people, when they get the email, they go, oh, I'm going, and they don't really care. But that takes time. And working with a lot of comics who are like on the cusp of like really breaking it really big, even those guys. Like, dude, again, not trying to name drop, just trying to be honest and open with people. People look at Mark Norman, they go, man, I want that guy's career. But after the show, man, me and him will be back in the hotel, and he's like, fuck, man. He was just like, they had to paper the room. I was like, dude, it was packed. He goes, yeah, but only 40% of the people pay for the ticket. You know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff that you don't think about when you're a younger comic. You just go, oh, he's headlining. You see all these butts and seats, but you don't know that the club had to pay for this room.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking I'm not saying anything that he hasn't ever said on a podcast.
Yeah,
it's like,
because he blew up now.
Yeah. So it's just like, you headlining, but once you start headlining, now your job is one, keep writing, but now your thing is to now, how can I get butts in seats? How can I get to the point where I can work a door deal? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize. They go, oh, you're headlining. You got it made. No, you got to do press. You still got to advertise the show. And if you really give a fuck, you don't want a room that's papered. You want a room that is full of your people.
Yeah. Facts.
So just looking at people at whatever level they are. I would say 90% of those people who are worth a damn, they're looking above them, because like working with Mark, he's always like, I want to do what Segura is doing. I want to do the Mulaney thing. But I'm looking at Mark like I want to do what he's doing, but he's looking above that. And Bill Burr is looking above that. And whoever's above Bill Burr, they're looking above that. You know what I'm saying?
No, dude, we gotta get you on the show. But like that was one of the, like I definitely gotta get you on the show. I didn't want to say that before we get out of there. But that was one of the things I get in not arguments, because I don't really argue about stuff that I know about, but it's something that I have to explain to people a lot. Like people are like, where's the flyer for the show? I'm like, there's no flyer for the show. And they're like, how is there no flyer for the show? I'm like, okay, let me.
Okay. When you gotta give a nigga a slow okay. Okay. I mean, you gotta back it all the way up. Okay.
Yeah, let me bring this back.
Yeah. You're not getting it.
Okay. Yeah, they're not getting this shit, nigga. People come to this show because this show is good. You get what I'm saying? Like our DuPont show and DuPont Circle, like people come to the show because the show's good, right? People like the fucking state fair. We do a joint in Catonsville. People come to the show because the show's good. Mm-hmm. The Hideout, the people come to the show because the show's good, right? I have multiple shows where I don't put out a flyer. You know, reason why I had to stop putting out flyers because I started realizing that every time I put out a flyer, if people didn't know the person on the flyer, they wouldn't show. Wow. Not because, dude, and it's so fucking weird. Every time I've done it, when I make, I'll like, because everybody will convince me, put all these people on this flyer, put everybody on the flyer, put everybody on the flyer. And I'm like, I'll give you your own flyer. You get what I'm saying? That you could put out to your friends, your family, your fans, right? But when I do a big show, I can't promote the comics until after the show. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just had the DC Comedy Festival.
Oh, yes.
We just had DC Comedy. Name one person that you saw promoted for the festival besides Frankie French, who headlined the festival.
I didn't.
Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, but now when we put the pictures out, we tag all the comics in it. Yeah. It's a packed room. All the audience got to see this comic. They got to see the comic was funny. They didn't have any pre notions to who the comic was. You get what I'm saying? They couldn't judge who the comic was going to be. So we had a room full of people with a comic that people would be like, he will do bad in front of these people. And these people most likely was like, I'm not going to go see him. He doesn't look like my style. And then he rips this bitch. It's one particular comic. I can't remember his name right now. But when I say the motherfucker came in a romper, right? he came in a shorts romper. And motherfucker, I mean, ripped, my guy. Ripped it, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was Bus Boys and Poets. It's a white comic, long hair with a romper. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It killed it. So it's like, you don't know, like, people have preconceived notions in their head of like who's funny, who's not funny. And when you're big famous, right? When you say Eddie Griffin is coming to town, or an Earthquake, or a Bill Burr, or
D-Ray,
Jeff Ross, D-Ray, whoever, they all have their select crowds. Right. Some of their crowds cross-sect, right? But there's somebody out here who's like, D-Ray's funnier than Dave Chappelle. I'd rather pay $30 to go see D-Ray than pay $80 to see Dave Chappelle. There's some people out here who think Kevin's better than Dave Chappelle. There's fucking people out here who legit, this is not like, I'm not like trying to really compare them too much, but there's people out here who think Bill Burr is the funniest comic of all time. And they don't like any of the other three people I just named, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you put them put them on the flyer, what winds up happening is their audience is so large. Remember, we need 52,000 people for this 100 seater, right? They have 5 million. They got 5 million people that want to come see them. You know what I'm saying? Out of the 25 million that's around the area that's willing to drive over there. So they don't have to, they can put them on a flyer and be like, oh, come see Dave, come see Bill, come see what's name. But when you are somebody in a new area, sometimes you don't need a flyer, bro. You just need to promote the show.
That's it. Yeah. but a lot of people, they like it because it makes them, especially a younger comic, it makes them feel official. If you got a flyer, you know what I mean? A lot of it is to stroke your own little ego. Our own little ego. Yeah, man. Like here, like my man Danny, like when I first started doing the mic here, he goes, we need to put all the comics on name on the flyer. I go, no one cares.
Not even
nobody. I was like, especially for an open mic, I was like, why do I need to put 15 names on the flyer? No one cares. No one gives a shit. Even when I do like a lot of local shows, what do you want for credits? Nobody cares. Just say I'm a DC guy. No one cares.
Oh, dude, I tell people that all the time. Like when I go up, people will be like, yo, he is one of the guys who runs the DC. He puts on a show and like, dude, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Listen, let me be funny. Let me be funny. And then if people want to see me, I'll be standing outside when the show's over. They'll walk up and talk to me. Right. You get what I'm saying? And I'll give them a card or I'll give them my Instagram. But you don't have to do any of that shit.
Yeah, it's like, so funny. Yeah, it's so funny when you're super young and you do feel like you got one credit. And you like say this. Out there. Yeah. Say I open for this person, and then it's just like after a while you're like, I don't want to fucking don't say this shit. You know what I used to hate too? You ever get the fake like he was on BET? Like, hey man, don't lie and say I was on TV, man.
Don't do that for me, bro. I got the joy. I performed one college, and somebody was like, "He performs colleges all around America." I was like, "Bitch."
Yeah, dude, I just did one. Ooh, it was not fun.
Oh, for real?
I went up to Utica and I did Mohawk Valley Community College. I had to wear a mask. It was socially distanced. They were all literally like 18 years old, and I bombed for like 51 minutes. I tried crowd work. I tried doing an advice section. They were like, just do jokes. I was like, y'all want jokes? They were like, yeah, let's do some jokes. I did some jokes. They go, was that it? I go, yeah, those are the jokes, man. I was like, they go, man. I go, I'm sorry. This is what I got.
That's fucking hysterical.
51 minutes, man. As soon as I looked at my clock, I was like, 51 minutes. I was like, hey, I did my time. I'm out. I handed that lady the microphone and walked the fuck out of there.
Oh my God. What is this, through ACA or NACA?
It was through my comedy, my college agent. Yeah.
Nice. Nah, dude. It was rough.
Now, you know what? I will say this. They were nice. They humored me a little for a while. And they could have walked out, they could have booed, but you know, we tried to make it. I tried several things. I walked through the crowd. I tried to, what do y'all want relationship advice? Y'all want to know about, just ask me, you want to ask a black man something? Nothing, just bombing.
Dude, I did, me and Shevitz did, me and Shevitz, we do, I'm gonna get in trouble live show for DC now because we do this as a live show too. We're doing it one time, and I made like 3 jokes in a row, and them joints was just like, and it fucked up because we're both on stage together. So the lucky part is like Shevitz is such an asshole to me that he just made sure everybody knew it. Right. But I mean, like, I think my worst bomb this year is pandemic related too. We do a show at Union Stage, 215 people, right? 215 people. I'm opening the show, but I hate hosting. Not like nobody really wants to host, but you host because it gets you more whatever. Like if you can become a great host, you can get a lot of work. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I'm hosting, and I get I get a couple big laughs. I sit down on the chair, and now I'm going into my bits. Like I forgot I'm hosting at this point. So I'm thinking like, oh shit, I'm running. I go. I remember, oh shit, I'm hosting, nigga. Like you gotta get the fuck up. So I'm trying to like So I'm trying to find my way out of the joke, but I'm thinking too long. So I'm pausing too long.
Oh, and you're sitting down too?
And I'm sitting down. Bro, so I hit the punchline. And when I said nobody laughed, and I was like, dog, this is one of my hitters too. Like, it was bad. And I was just like, this is the part where I gotta say, as a comic, I fucked up. I apologize.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I fucked up.
Isn't it kind of an amazing thing when you tell a joke and no one laughs? There's like a weird beauty in that, because it's like you have the opposite where like you say a group of words together and then boom, everyone laughs at the same time. Right. But then you can also say a group of words together and literally no one laughs.
Yes.
Like the magic in that, like everyone agreed without even talking, like this isn't funny.
Yeah, and especially when it's too, like, I try to tell people, I'm like, when you bomb in front of 20 people, anything less than 50, I was like as you grow in comedy, the number gets bigger, right? But like when you're a new comic and you bomb in front of like 4 people, it's like the end of the world.
Yeah,
right. But then you get past that, and then it becomes, once you bomb in front of 20 people, when you bomb in front of 200 people on a joke, dude, it's one of the worst feelings ever. Like, God, you had 200 panic, you had 200 times, you had 200 different people to just get a giggle. Just give me a giggle.
Right, something, a smattering.
Something.
Just give me something.
Give me something.
It's a weird, dude. It's a beautiful, weird art form, man. To just get up there and be able to make people laugh at the same time. Yes. You know what I mean? But dude, even the joke bombing it's just like, man, everyone agreed that was not good. And then when you have them in succession, it's just like, all right, one bombed, you go, okay, I'm gonna do this one.
I've had that. I've definitely had that. Where you try to get out of the joke, you like, you go ahead and finish that joke. You start up the next joke, you like, that one's gonna hit, and it doesn't. And then you start up the next joke, and that one doesn't hit. Ooh.
Yeah, dude, that's what happened to me towards the end of that show. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this bit, and I'm like, man, that didn't do well. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this, and then I started to panic, dude. I was talking so fast, I was skipping around the joke, and then I was like, okay, man, that one bombed. And then I was like, let me just do this one. And then that one was even more choppy. I was like, man, let me look at my clock. 51 minutes, I'm out of here, man.
Dog, that's crazy.
Dude, I hadn't panicked on stage like that in a long time. I needed it. It didn't feel good, but you need that feeling of like panic to let you know, like, hey, man, this shit real. Don't fuck around.
Yeah, I did. I bombed. I bombed. This pandemic, like I said, the pandemic, and I was trying to explain this to my girl. Like, listen, not being on stage, you lose timing. Just 1 week. 1 week, you try to go back and do that joke. Like, that's why, like, when people are like, oh, they don't go on. Like, man, I only go on stage when I get paid. And you're like, bro, I know how many times you get paid.
Yeah,
like, you only get paid like once a month, bro. Like, what the fuck? Like, maybe every 2, like, so, like, I'm like, dude, if I miss a week, I can tell my time's off. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I listen to the recording, I'm like, ooh, I paused way too long. Ooh, I jumped right through that joke. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And I was trying to explain to my girl, I'm like, I had 3 big shows back to back, but I didn't get a chance to go out and hit mics beforehand, just to work on, not even, like, because normally I don't work on the jokes. Sometimes I don't work on the jokes unless I'm changing the joke. I just like being on stage telling jokes. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? And like, that just helps me stay right. And I bombed like 3 shows in a row. But you know how it is. Like, when we say, like, a lot of people don't get when we say bomb, we talking about like, we just didn't do as good as we should have done. Right? Like, it wasn't a 2-year bomb. It was like a 10-year bomb. I only got the last of a nigga that's been doing this for 3 years.
Yeah,
that's a bomb.
I used to hang out with my boy Vince, my buddy Vince Morris, great comic. He's been doing it 25 years. Man, I would watch that dude headline and he would destroy. I mean, 50 minutes, crowd work, great bits, making shit up on the fly, the riffing, everything, kill, right. And come off stage and be like, that shit was whack. I'm like, I was kill. I'm like, whack. It's like somebody literally fell out of their chair.
Yeah, right. But he didn't get to run around the room. He
didn't
had nobody running around the room yet.
Ah, man, somebody usually die. It's like, man, isn't that dope though? When you're a super new comic and you watch like a vet, like a 15+ year vet, just have a crowd eating out their hand. You're like, damn, it's like they like magicians, man. When you watching at that level, you like, man, I hope I can be like that, man. It's so good. Like I remember one of the first comics, like real comics I saw was my boy Liles out in Vegas. Like Liles is doing this thing in LA. But I remember going to the mics and watching, and I remember the first time he ever showed up, nigga had sweatpants on, just a shirt out. And I remember thinking like, this nigga got sweatpants on. What the fuck is up with this? Man, he went up there. It was so effortless. It just flowed. And I was just like, this is what comedy is. Like, This is what I want to be able to do. And I had gone a couple of times and I thought people were funny, but Delay was just on that other level above everybody. Where like you got guys who had funny jokes. It was just like joke. But it wasn't anything cohesive and nothing really flowed. But it was funny for 5 minutes. But Delay went up and was just like, it was cohesive. He was talking to people. He was doing bits. I was like, this is what I came to see.
Wow.
It was dope.
Yo,
man.
Let's get out of here, bro.
Yeah, man, my bad.
I wasn't. No, dude, I'm fine. My girls try to go to sleep. So I keep getting texts all to the side like, can you shut the fuck up?
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Nah, it was awesome, bro. I really do appreciate it. I'm glad we got a chance to chop it up for an hour. Yeah, we don't really talk like that, so I can't wait to have you on the show. I'll get something out there to you.
Yeah, let me know, man. I'm always down to get up there, and yeah, man. Can I plug my album real quick?
That's what I was about to say. I was just about to say what you got.
So yeah, I have an album that just came out with Helium Records. It came out August 6th. It's called Off Script. It's available everywhere: iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, everywhere. I got some bits on XM. So if you hear it on XM, make sure you tweet to him and go, "Hey, play some more Chris Allen. Help me out. Download the album, listen to it, let it play in the background. Just help a nigga out."
Yo, we'll put it underneath the thread on the podcast, bro.
I appreciate it, man.
All right, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, troublemakers, be safe out here, man.
Thanks, man.
That's why I'm mad with it. That's why I'm mad with it. Straight out the trap with it. Whatever you want, whatever you need, it's on tab. Get it.